We live in interesting times.
For the headlines.
President Donald Trump lashed out over his impending impeachment in a letter to top Democrat Nancy Pelosi, accusing her of declaring open war on American democracy.
Australia experiences its hottest day ever, with worse to come threatening to exacerbate an already unprecedented summer bushfire season.
The Bureau of Jail Management and Penology will implement strict security protocols in Camp Bagong Diwa at Taguig City in preparation for the promulgation of the Maguindanao massacre case on Thursday.
And the death toll in the Mindanao quake climbs to 9 according to the NDRRMC.
I'm Alma Angeles, wherever you're watching from around the world. Thank you very much for joining us.
We welcome our viewers here in the Philippines and around the world. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sam Cepeda.
And now to the news. President Donald Trump faces becoming only the third U.S. leader ever to be impeached on Wednesday when the House of Representatives is set for a historic vote that would trigger his trial in the Senate. On the eve of the vote, President Trump said he was being subjected to an attempted coup and a witch trial. In an extraordinarily angry 6-page letter, the president told Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the Democratic-led House of Representatives, that history will judge you harshly. President Trump's letter accused Pelosi of breaking your allegiance to the Constitution and, quote, declaring open war on American democracy. It repeated his claim that the entire case against him is a hoax and a colossal injustice, and said Democrats were being driven in impeachment by, quote, your most deranged and radical representatives of the far left. President Trump also repeated his objections to the process of the House inquiry, claiming, quote, more due process was afforded to those accused in the Salem witch trials. Nancy Pelosi, House Speaker of the House, dismissed the letter as really sick. Wednesday's debate will last 6 hours, with a vote expected in late afternoon or evening. President Trump is accused of attempting to force Ukraine into investigating a May 2020 re-election rival, Joe Biden. He's also accused of obstructing Congress by refusing to cooperate with the impeachment investigation, barring staff from testifying and holding back documentary evidence. The two articles of impeachment are certain to pass in the House, where Democrats hold a firm majority. Now that will send the case to the Senate, where a trial of President Trump is expected to open in January, and his acquittal is equally expected given that the Republicans control there.
Democrats are insisting on calling the White House officials as witnesses. Chuck Schumer, the top Democrat in the Senate, urged Republicans to allow the testimony of the White House Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney, Advisor Robert Blair, former National Security Advisor John Bolton, and Budget Office official Michael Duffy. But Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who can largely set the rules, rejected this and dismissed any idea that the trial wasn't a purely political exercise. The Senate is controlled by the President's Republican Party. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell calls the request a fishing expedition that underscores Democrats' search for evidence to support impeachment.
Listen to the leader's speech. I did not hear a single sentence, a single argument as to why the witnesses I suggested should not give testimony. Impeachment trials, like most trials, have witnesses. To have none would be an aberration. Why is the leader, why is the president so afraid of having these witnesses come testify? What are they afraid the witnesses would say? I'd like to hear Leader McConnell come to the floor and give specific reasons why the 4 witnesses we've asked for shouldn't testify. What is Leader McConnell afraid of? What is President Trump afraid of? The truth? But the American people want the truth.
The Senate is meant to act as judge and jury, to hear a trial, not to rerun the entire fact-finding investigation because angry partisans rushed sloppily through it. So now, the Senate Democratic leader would apparently like our chamber to do House Democrats' homework for them. He wants to volunteer the Senate's time and energy on a fishing expedition to see whether his own ideas could make Chairman Schiff's sloppy work more persuasive. So why does the Democratic leader here in the Senate want to predetermine the House impeachment manager's witness request for them before the House has even impeached the president?
Meanwhile, protests in support of impeachment broke out in several cities, including New York, Boston, New Orleans, and Los Angeles. Demonstrators waved signs urging Congress to dump Trump and protect our democracy. One sign even wished fellow protesters a merry impeachment in reference to the approaching holiday. The rallies came as the House prepares to vote on Wednesday on 2 articles of impeachment, abuse of power and obstruction of Congress against President Trump. And the votes are expected to largely play out along party lines in the Democratic-controlled House.
But I am so tired of being lied to by a president. And I'm tired that the entire Republican Party thinks that we are all stupid.
In all honesty, I don't know what to expect. I know I'm hoping for an impeachment, but the world is kind of a crazy place right now.
And what's going on right now in our government is criminal, and we need to fight for justice.
On the eve of a historic and highly anticipated vote by the House of Representatives on impeaching President Donald Trump, Senator Ted Cruz weighs in on the inquiry, calling it a political exercise for the Democrats who, in his view, haven't proven their case. During an event in Washington, D.C., Senator Ted Cruz says he hopes the Senate will do a better job than the House and conduct a fair trial.
But I do think the end result of this, we're going to have a hearing, a trial. It's going to be a fair trial. Both sides are going to be allowed to present their case. And then the verdict will be not guilty. How can I say that? Because they haven't proven their case. They haven't alleged a high crime or misdemeanor. The constitutional standard matters. By the way, if they had alleged bribery, if they'd proven bribery, bribery is a high crime or misdemeanor. If they had facts and could prove up bribery, that would be a very different outcome. But every Democrat running for president is going to vote to convict. Why? Because of partisan rage and they hate Donald Trump, and it doesn't matter. By the way, they wanted to impeach him before they knew about Ukraine. 93 House Democrats voted to impeach him because he criticized the so-called squad. So Schumer's idea that, well, let's make the Senate a fishing expedition for all the witnesses Democrats want. If they want witnesses, postpone the vote tomorrow, subpoena the witnesses, and let them come before the House. They're not going to do that because it's a political exercise. The facts don't matter. So in my view, everything the House did wrong, I hope the Senate does much better. I hope the Senate, and I believe the Senate, we're going to conduct a fair proceeding. We're going to respect due process, unlike how the House did it. Now, what does that mean? That means both sides can present their case.
So, Democrats accuse Trump of pressuring Ukraine to open an investigation. The president's political rival and former Vice President Joe Biden, who is also a front runner in the 2020 Democratic presidential race. They also charge that the president obstructed their investigation by refusing to comply with subpoenas and directing members of his administration to do the same. Trump has denied any wrongdoing and on Tuesday sent a blistering letter to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi accusing Democrats of an attempted coup and that if they moved forward with impeachment, they would be declaring open war on American democracy.
In other news, Australia this week experienced its hottest day on record, and the heat wave is expected to worsen, exacerbating an already unprecedented bushfire season, according to authorities. The average nationwide temperatures of 40.9 degrees Celsius or 105.6 degrees Fahrenheit on Tuesday beat the previous record of 40.3 degrees Celsius in January of 2013, according to the Bureau of Meteorology. This heat will only intensify further today, according to meteorologist Diane Eadie. The heat wave is another alarm bell about global warming in Australia, where this year's early and intense start to regular summer bushfires has heaped pressure on the Australian government to do more to tackle climate change. Parts of New South Wales are already forecast to reach the mid-40s Celsius, around 110 degrees Fahrenheit. On Saturday, as conditions worsen, West Sydney is due to tip over 46 degrees Celsius or 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Turbulent winds of up to 100 kilometers an hour are forecast to also hit the East Coast and worsen the blazes. Smoke from the fires has engulfed Sydney, raising air pollution to hazardous levels in an event leading doctors have labeled a public health emergency. Prime Minister Scott Morrison last week made a rare admission that climate change was one of the factors behind the fires. But he defended the government's record on emissions reduction and failed to announce further measures to address the issue.
The death toll to the 6.9 magnitude earthquake in Davao del Sur rose to 9. The number of people still trapped inside could still not be ascertained yet, but authorities believe there could be more. The quake struck at 2:11 p.m. Sunday. A child died after being hit by a collapsed wall in her house, and a woman in her 70s died from a heart attack during the quake. Meanwhile, a 5.3 magnitude earthquake struck Davao del Sur on Wednesday, December 18. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology said the quake of tectonic origin hit 28 kilometers southeast of Padada at 4:18 a.m. Depth of focus was 9 kilometers. The Davao region has been hit by at least 3 powerful earthquakes in recent months, causing several deaths and scores of injuries and badly damaging houses, town halls, hotels, malls, and hospitals. FIVO's chief, Dr. Renato Solidum, did not discount the possibility that the series of earthquakes that have hit the region since October were related. He said these could have been a stress transfer since these are active faults. But he said that with this latest earthquake, it was the first time in recent history that a succession of above magnitude 6 earthquakes occurred within a short time of each other and in close proximity to each other.
Protests across Indian cities entered a 7th day on Wednesday, with police firing tear gas during clashes in the nation's capital as outrage grew over a new citizenship law critics say is anti-Muslim.
Against us. So we were waiting and suddenly the police came. When the police came, we thought that at least now we are safe because the crowd ran away. But it came out totally opposite. The police started beating us and abusing us in a very communal way. I believe in a certain faith. So I said, Ya Allah. And they started saying, you guys are terrorists. You guys are terrorists. And they started beating us. And they started beating us in 4 or 5 places.
In what has become a major challenge to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, tens of thousands of people have taken to the streets. Protests, riots, and clashes have claimed 6 lives and injured dozens. The law, passed by Parliament last week, grant citizenship to non-Muslim illegal immigrants from 3 countries. But opponents say the legislation is part of Modi's Hindu nationalist master plan to move modern India away from its secular foundations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has remained defiant, and he said the law would not affect Indian nationals but protect persecuted Hindu, Sikh, and other minorities from Muslim-majority neighbors. In one of the biggest nationwide protests since an anti-corruption movement swept the South Asian nation in 2011, demonstrations kicked off in the northeast and east before spreading to the capital, New Delhi, and then to the south. At least 21 people, including 12 policemen, were injured in the clashes, according to police. 6 people were arrested for rioting and arson, police said on Wednesday. Meanwhile, authorities have imposed an emergency law banning large gatherings in parts of India's capital, New Delhi, after 12 policemen were injured in the protests. Authorities have imposed internet blackouts and used force to shut down rallies and sit-ins, but protesters have vowed to keep up their fight until the law is revoked.
Hundreds of thousands of French protesters took to the streets in Paris in a pension reform standoff that has sparked nearly 2 weeks of crippling transport strikes, with the government vowing it will not give in to union demands to drop the overhaul. Take a look. Violence erupted at Place de la Nation, one of the Paris's biggest squares, as riot police attempted to disperse protesters. Police said they had charged after coming under a hail of paving stones and missiles. There were 27 arrests by late afternoon. The hardline CGT union tweeted that 1.8 million demonstrators had turned out across the country, a figure higher than the 1.5 million it claimed for the last big protest day on December 5. The CGT said electricity workers had cut power to some 50,000 homes near Bordeaux and 40,000 in Lyon overnight, warning that bigger cuts could follow. Later, the CGT and 4 other trade unions issued a joint ultimatum to the government, saying local industrial action would continue with no let-up till December 25 holidays unless it responds to their requests in the coming hours. The French Prime Minister, Edouard Philippe, who will meet union leaders on Wednesday, told the National Assembly on Tuesday that government would not cave in on the controversial pension reforms, which he said were aimed at introducing a universal system. Workers say the government wants to make them work longer for less, and the reforms will take away hard-won rights, particularly for those in precarious jobs who enjoy special privileges, including early retirement on full pensions.
Chinese President Xi Jinping landed in Macau on Wednesday as the city prepares to mark 20 years since the former Portuguese colony was returned, a celebration that stands in stark contrast to months of unrest in neighboring Hong Kong. Take a look. Now, security has been ramped up ahead of President Xi's 3-day visit, which culminates on Friday's anniversary. China's authoritarian leadership is keen to showcase Macau as a successful example of its one country, two systems model, with party leaders heaping praise on a pliant city of 700,000 that has grown rich and with deference to authoritarian rule. The Chinese people in the central government are proud of the achievements and progress Macau has made in the past 20 years since its return to the motherland. President Xi said on arrival at the city's airport, a troop of school children waving Chinese and Macau flags behind him. Since the 1999 handover by Lisbon, Macau has witnessed little of the dissent that has exploded in Hong Kong during 6 months of often violent pro-democracy protests as large chunks of the population cedes under Beijing's rule. Like Hong Kong, it maintains its own currency, judiciary, and free market, but it has long since passed mainland-style anti-sedition laws that have been successfully registered by Hong Kongers. Security has been dramatically tightened ahead of President Xi's visit Police had set up checkpoints and extra screenings for passenger arrivals, while authorities said some major roads would see closures. The city's first light rail line announced it would shut down for the duration just a week after it was first opened to the public, while the airport said some flights would be rescheduled. Security checks were also ramped up in Hong Kong's ferry terminals and on a huge bridge and tunnel system linking the two cities. Since last week, police from mainland China have been manning a newly created checkpoint on an artificial island that links the bridge and tunnel system between Hong Kong, Macau, and Shuhai, the first time they have done so. Multiple journalists with Hong Kong passports working for local and international media have been denied entry to Macau in the run-up to the anniversary, while a group of pro-democracy lawmakers were denied permission to board a ferry on Wednesday. Earlier this month, the president and chairman of Hong Kong's American Chamber of Commerce were also denied entry to Macau without explanation.
5 people were killed and dozens injured in Hong Kong on Wednesday when a double-decker bus smashed into a tree, police said. Earlier images showed of firefighters trying to reach victims on the vehicle's top deck, which had been turned into a tangled mess of twisted metal and shattered glass, leaving some passenger seats dangling to the side. Victims were seen being removed in the black body bags and placed next to a sign reading temporary mortuary at the roadside in Kwutong, a region close to the border with China. Police said 5 people were certified dead at the scene, with dozens injured. The city's hospital authority said it had activated its major incident plan in response to the crash. Hong Kong prides itself on having one of the world's best public transport systems, but deadly bus accidents are not unknown. The densely packed city has many winding, narrow, and often steep roads. But unions say driver fatigue from working unforgiving hours is also commonplace.
In other news, a Tokyo court on Wednesday awarded 3.3 million yen, or $30,000 in damages to journalist Shiori Ito, who accused a former TV reporter of rape in one of the most high-profile cases of the #MeToo movement in Japan. Take a look. The civil case made headlines in Japan and abroad, as it's rare for rape victims to report the crime to the police. According to a 2017 government survey, only 4% of women come forward. Ito, 30, has become an outspoken symbol for #MeToo in Japan, where the movement against sexual harassment and abuse has struggled to take hold. She had sought 11 million yen, or $100,000 in compensation from Noriyuki Yamaguchi, a former TV reporter with close links to Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, alleging he raped her after inviting her to dinner to discuss a job opportunity in 2015. Yamaguchi denies any wrongdoing and had filed a counter-suit against Ito seeking 130 million yen in compensation. Take a look.
一度一つのピリオドをつけて食べたんだなという感じ。ただそう処したからといって他のことがなかったことになるわけではないですし、これからもこれ自分の受けた傷とどういうふうに向き合っていくのかっていうことがあるので、これが終わりではないですし、時にお互いに対面しているので、私も彼を見つめながらどういうふうに今考えて、どういうふうに今までなんでしょう、どういう気持ちなのかなってすごい想像してみたんですけれども、できるだけこれ以上できるだけ誠実にお話ししていただければなと。一事件ではやはり不起訴となってしまったこともあって、どんな証拠だったり証言が細かくあったのかというところに私たちは全て知ることはできませんでした。 本当に不起訴という言葉だけで終わらせられてしまったので、この点に関してはやはり民事訴訟を起こすことによって公にできる証言であったりだとか、新しい証言であったりだとか、あちらの言い分だったりがしっかりと聞けたっていうのは本当にこの民事をして良かったところでありますし。
The Bureau of Jail Management and Penology will implement strict security protocols in Camp Bagong Diwa, Taguig City, in preparation for the promulgation of the Maguindanao massacre case on Thursday. BJMP spokesperson Jail Chief Inspector Xavier Solda in a statement said strict security protocols will be observed inside Camp Bagong Diwa in Taguig City. Meanwhile, Philippine National Police spokesperson Brigadier General Bernard Banat said the National Capital Region Police Office is on alert for the promulgation. While noting that there are no threats monitored in the area of promulgation, Banat urged the public to remain calm but alert and vigilant. He also assured that the PNP is ready to provide additional security detail through the Police Security and Protection Group when requested, subject to existing laws and policies. On December 13, NCRPO Acting Chief Brigadier General Davao announced the deployment of 730 policemen for the security measures during the promulgation. The Taguig City Police will also be on alert. The NCRPO also assured the security of the judge and the prosecutor of the case. Rallying is not allowed in front of Camp Bagong Diwa as so not to disrupt the flow of traffic. He also cleared that signal jamming would not be implemented. On the other hand, supporters of both Ampatuan and the victims of the massacre would stay in separate areas outside the camp to prevent any untoward incident between them. The promulgation on December 19 will involve the accused masterminds of the massacre led by brothers former Datu Unsay, Maguindanao Mayor Andal Ampatuan Jr., and former Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao Governor Saldi Ampatuan. The family patriarch, the late Maguindanao Governor Andal Sr., was also among the principal suspects but died in detention in July 2015. The suspects were charged with multiple murders for planning and direct participation in the massacre in Sitio Masalay, Barangay Salman in Ampatuan Town, Maguindanao. The Maguindanao massacre is one of the cases in the inventory of the Presidential Task Force on Media Security, as 32 of those killed were journalists accompanying the convoy on their way to Sharif Aguac Town to file the certificate of candidacy of then Maguindanao gubernatorial candidate Ismael Toto Magudadatu. The convoy was ambushed by about 100 armed men.
In other news, 5 accused drug smugglers from Hong Kong, Chile, Switzerland, and Thailand who were caught in Bali could face the firing squad if convicted, according to police in the Indonesian holiday island. The group, arrested in separate incidents this month and in November, were paraded in shackles and orange jumpsuits at Bali's airport customs office, escorted by machine gun toting police, a common practice in Indonesia. 2 of the 5 are men from Hong Kong who were caught with 3.2 kilograms and 4 kilograms of methamphetamine, respectively, police said. The Chilean was allegedly carrying 77 grams of meth, while a Swiss citizen was arrested with 30 grams of marijuana in his possession. The Thai man had nearly 18 grams of marijuana. Muslim-majority Indonesia has some of the world's toughest drug laws, including the death penalty for traffickers. While death sentences are often reduced to long jail terms, Indonesia has executed foreign nationals in the past, including 2 Australian masterminds of the Bali 9 heroin gang who were shot in 2015. And the news continues here on Eagle News. We'll be right back.
MTRC.
Net25 is now available on OSN, the largest entertainment network in the Middle East and North Africa.
Watch your favorite Net25 shows on OSN, channel 725, same day as the Philippines.
Net25 shows live and on demand anytime,
anywhere, or any mobile device on OSN Play.
The chairman of Samsung Electronics, the world's biggest smartphone and chip maker, has been jailed for sabotaging union activities, prompting a rare apology on Wednesday from the firm. Chairman Lee Sang-hoon, Executive Vice President Kang Kyun-hoon were both sentenced to 18 months for leading a wide-ranging operation to deter staff at Samsung's customer service unit from operating a union. Samsung Electronics is the flagship subsidiary of the Samsung Group, by far the biggest of the family-controlled conglomerates known as chaebols that have propelled South Korea's rise to the world's 11th largest economy. Along the way, the company has fought ferociously against union representation until local authorities in Suwon, where it is headquartered, last month certified the National Samsung Electronics Union, which is affiliated with a powerful umbrella group. Lee and Kang were found guilty by the Seoul Central District Court on Tuesday of violating labor union laws, with prosecutors saying they had ordered subordinates to cut union members' wages and to discover and exploit details of their personal lives, such as pregnancies and debt, among other tactics. Both men had been on bail during the trial but were immediately taken into custody. At the time in 2013, Lee was Samsung Electronics' chief financial officer, and both men have been members of the now disbanded Future Strategy Office, the firm's key decision-making body.
In other business news, Ramon S. Ang, President and Chief Operating Officer of conglomerate San Miguel Corporation, or SMC, has made it into the Bloomberg 50, an elite annual list of top global innovators, entrepreneurs, and leaders who have changed the global business landscape, as compiled by Bloomberg Business Week. He's the first Filipino to make it to the list. An unranked list, the Bloomberg 50 represents the most influential thought leaders in business, entertainment, politics, finance, fashion, science, and technology, whose accomplishments were particularly noteworthy and defined 2019. It's a great honor, and I'm grateful to Bloomberg for taking note of our work and the developments here in the Philippines, Mr. Ang said. And he said, I hope this helps to showcase the many great and positive things happening in our country. Mr. Ang is joined in the list by Warner Media News and Sports Chairman and CNN President Jeff Zucker, TV host Jon Stewart, pop star Rihanna, Shopify CEO Tobias Lutke, GlaxoSmithKline CEO Emma Walmsley, Marvel Studios President Kevin Feige, American gymnast Simone Biles, Walmart CEO Doug McMillon, Disney International Chairman Kevin Mayer, celebrity and Kylie Cosmetics CEO Kylie Jenner, and climate activist Greta Thunberg, among others. SMC is one of the Philippines' largest companies by revenues and profits. In 2018, its revenues breached 1 trillion pesos, equivalent to about 5.9% of the Philippines' gross domestic product.
And we're still following the developments out of France. Health professionals from the CFDT union joined the other unions for a third day of mobilization against French pension reform. Protesters also gathered in Lyon. So far, President Macron's government is sticking to plan to raise the retirement age to 64, though it made concessions last week by delaying the rollout of the change and opened the door for new negotiations. Several European countries have raised the retirement age or cut pensions in recent years to keep up with lengthening life expectancy and slowing economic growth. But President Macron argues that France needs to do the same.
French car maker PSA and U.S.-Italian rival Fiat Chrysler said they had agreed on the terms of a merger to create the world's fourth largest automaker as the sector grapples with the difficult and costly transition to cleaner and more sustainable mobility. Fiat Chrysler Automobiles and Peugeot SA have today signed a binding combination agreement providing for a 50-50 merger of their businesses to create the fourth largest global automotive original equipment manufacturer by volume and third by largest revenue, according to their statement. It added there would be no plant closures resulting from this transaction. Ranking behind global rivals such as Volkswagen, Renault, Nissan, Mitsubishi, and Toyota, the combined group will have a workforce of more than 400,000, total revenues of close to 170 billion euros, and annual unit sales of some 8.7 million vehicles. Its brands will include Fiat, Alfa Romeo, Chrysler, Citroën, Dodge DS, Jeep, Lancia, Maserati, Opel, Peugeot, and Vauxhall. The tie-up, which the two sides had originally agreed to at the end of October, will, quote, deliver approximately 3.7 billion euros in estimated annual synergies or cost savings. The merger was expected to be completed in 12 to 15 months. Analysts nevertheless argue that the two companies are still too dependent on the declining European market and lack a strong presence in China, the world's largest car market.
European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen warned Wednesday that any failure to rapidly negotiate a new trade deal after Brexit would hurt Britain more than it would the EU. Watch this.
In case we cannot conclude an agreement by the end of 2020, we will face again a cliff edge situation. And this would clearly harm our interests, but it will impact more the UK than us, as the European Union will continue benefiting from its single market, its customs unions, and the 1,700 international agreements we signed with our partners, but it is clearly not in our interest.
Eagle News International will be right back. Stay tuned.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business every Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. Open for Business, from vision to action.
Hi guys, this is Dan from ABC UAE Bureau, reminding you to watch Digital Nest every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. I am one with 25.
Spokane Chief tallied 2 goals before 15 minutes had elapsed, and the Chiefs held on to a 2-1 victory over Vancouver Giants in a Western Hockey League game at the Langley Event Center. Our EBC correspondent Anthony Sevilla was there.
The Vancouver Giants and the Spokane Chiefs met for the second time this season, with the Chiefs coming out on top 2-1 at the Langley Event Center. Spokane got the revenge after falling to the Giants the previous week. It also marked the first trip back to the LEC after Vancouver eliminated them from the playoffs in last year's Western Conference Finals. Vancouver outdueled Spokane in almost every statistical category, including shots on goal and power play opportunities. However, Spokane won in the most important statistic, the box score. The Chiefs had a 2-1 lead over the Giants after the first period and eventually held on to that lead to earn the victory. Vancouver had plenty of opportunities to tie up the game, but goaltender Campbell Arnold played a huge role for Spokane in the win. The goaltender from Nanaimo, British Columbia, who earned first star of the game, finished with 30 saves, 15 of those in the third period alone. Head coach for Vancouver, Michael Dick, talked post-game about the loss and the team's struggle on the power play despite their lone goal coming off the PP.
It's a power play goal. I mean, you know what? Our power play is going to come. I truly believe that. We do so many good things. We've hit goalposts, we've hit crossbars. We're just having a hard time right now, and I think we're gonna be better for it. But certainly going through a tough stretch as far as creating offense. But I thought our defense played really well tonight. Goaltending was good. You know, that's a good hockey club, and for us to generate 31 shots against them, you know, we did a lot of good things. Well, I mean, they're frustrated. I mean, obviously, you know, we generate 45 shots against Tri-Cities. We generate 32 against Victoria and 31 tonight against Spokane, and you know, we gotta keep doing the same things we're doing defensively, because we're holding teams to 20, 25 shots, and just simplify offense and just keep putting pucks in the net. That's the only thing you can do. If you start straying from that, you know, we're gonna probably create a lot more opportunities the other way. So it's pucks to the net and bodies to the net.
Bowen Byram earned third star of the game honors. Byram was recently included amongst the select group to travel to Ontario for Hockey Canada's World Junior Selection Camp. The Colorado Avalanche prospect and Giants assistant captain talked post about the good and the bad in the Giants' loss to Spokane.
We need to figure out how to be ready for the start of games, but I thought after that we played a pretty full 60-minute effort in. So yeah, we got to take the positives. In times like this, you can't get down on each other, get down on yourself. So bounces are going to start going our way eventually, so we just got to keep at it. I think we've been struggling on the power play. A lot of it has to do with my play. Some other guys, I know that we all want to be better and we're trying to do the right thing. So it's been tough, but to get a goal tonight is definitely huge, and hopefully we can keep going.
The last meeting between the two clubs at this arena, the Chiefs were eliminated from the Western Conference Finals at the hands of Vancouver. Spokane got their revenge at the LEC and split the season series at 1 game apiece. The next matchup between the two clubs will be in the new year, as Vancouver will travel to Spokane in the third game of their season series. From the Langley Event Center, I'm Anthony Sevilla, 1 with 25.
Europe's Cheops planet-hunting satellite left Earth on Wednesday, a day after its liftoff was delayed by a technical rocket glitch during the final countdown. The satellite took off at 08:54 GMT from Europe's launch pad in Kourou, French Guiana, according to live footage broadcast by launch company Arianespace. The 30-centimeter telescope was being designed to measure the density, composition, and size of numerous planets beyond our solar system, so-called exoplanets or exoplanets. According to the European Space Agency, or ESA, Cheops will observe bright stars that are already known to be orbited by planets. Around 4,000 such exoplanets have been discovered since Quiloz and his colleague Michelle Mayer identified the first one, called 51 Pegasi B, 24 years ago. Cheops will focus on planets in the super-Earth to Neptune-sized range, with its data enabling the bulk density of the planets to be derived, a first step characterization towards understanding these alien worlds, the ESA website states. Scientists today estimate that there are at least as many galaxies as there are stars, approximately 100 billion.
And finally in our news, the Moon and Back Gallery launched to the Metro Vancouver's first mirror-like gallery. And visitors can explore these unique rooms, some of which are mirrored infinity rooms filled with different lighting and colors, letting you step inside the art. Kathleen Cruz takes us there.
Are you ready to be visually amazed? With colorful lights, infinity rooms, and optical illusions that will definitely blow your mind. Here comes the Moon and Back Gallery. Metro Vancouver opens the door to its newest and first ever visual infinity and mirror room. Photo enthusiasts, social media influencers, and art lovers, get your cameras ready as we tour the 2,000 square feet space of the Moon and Back Gallery with one of the owners, Shelly Liu.
We have 10 sections installed with different things, different cool visual immersive arts that people can be part of, and you know, they come in here and they become part of the art.
Be creative because the gallery offers unique rooms so you can score amazing pictures and videos.
So this is our infinity tunnel, and we have the double-sided mirror to create a feeling that this tunnel is never ending. So this room is like an infinity forest, like a red forest, are designed by different local artists, and this one is definitely by one of them as well. Just the plain red color, but also it's like coming very strong when it's on photo and or on videos. It's more artsy. So this is our 2D hand-drawn comic room, and this is also by another local artist, and she painted this room for a month and for it to come together to give people a feeling that they're living in a 2D world. So this is our rainbow alley. So we paint all the walls to different colors. It starts with pink and orange and green and blue and purple. This one is just like more meant for a colorful experience and decorated with all the neon lights. So this is a mirrored space, and we wanted to create like stars and like to make people feel like that they're outer space, linked back to the name of our gallery. So we wanted to create like an outer space sort of galaxy kind of feeling.
It's just amazing. It's just because there's a lot of influencers and photographers that take pictures of your gallery, and when you see that in Instagram or in Facebook, they are inspired to actually go into your gallery.
Yes, definitely. And we have amazing artists coming in to visit our gallery too.
This new exhibit is open all year long, so visitors can explore the rooms at their own pace. Here is why the gallery is called Moon and Back.
We named our gallery Moon and Back because we wanted to give people a feeling that they're in a completely different world, a new world of art and lights, and we wanted to give them an experience that it's bringing them to outer space, to the moon, and then they're back to reality.
From Richmond, Canada, Kathleen Cruz, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you, Kathleen. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Tumblr. Also check out our boards and Pinterest, and check our and pictures on Instagram. I'm Sam Cepeda. Thanks for joining us.
And that's the news for tonight. Join us online and here again tomorrow evening. From all of us here at Eagle News, I'm Alma Angeles, and
we're one with 25. News.